We're back for our second summer break of the year. We've missed a few races, but we're back and we're going to cover this weekend's action from Singapore Airlines Singapore Grand Prix and possibly a little mention to Zandvoort and Monza as well. Tom and Nick, welcome back. You missed chatting about F1?
Always. Yes. Oh, we talked over each other at the same time. Oh, our motivation maybe has dipped. Oh, certainly mine has. With Formula 1 this year, just because there's not a battle for the championship. But these recent rounds have been far more entertaining than anticipated.
Yeah, it has been. Very interesting for a change.
Bad weather at quite a lot of races this year. And that was, Zandvoort was extreme weather at various different points at the weekend and various different points of the race.
That was just funny. Start on slicks and before you've even finished the lap, it's like, that was wrong.
Of course, that was expertly won by Max Verstappen. But there was a few, I think that was his first. Liam Lawson, I'm pretty sure, overtook him in that race as well, which was impressive.
My defining memory. Which is very impressive.
Yeah, so we've had a newbie in the cars the past few rounds as well. Liam Lawson is back because Daniel Ricciardo broke his hand at Zandvoort, so he's made his F1 debut at Zandvoort and has raced the past 3 rounds. Been very impressed with him as well.
Yeah, the man who probably should have had that seat in the first place. I mean, before De Vries.
Yes, that's a good point. He's been racing the Super Formula this year instead.
Mm-hmm.
Which has got this crazy gap between the penultimate round and the final round. It means he can do Formula 1.
And he's rather shown everyone up, basically. It's been that team so far this year. I think he's done spectacularly well in his first few rounds.
Based on the form of these 3 races, I would prefer him over Ricciardo in that seat. Is that controversial?
I think one thing that has gone in his favour is the fact that the car has improved over the last 2 rounds. So it's no longer the slowest car on the grid. But yeah, he's definitely done very well with it because not only has he looked good, he's been beating Yuki.
Yeah, that's the key thing.
Doesn't help when Yuki's car blows up before he even takes a start in Monza, and then
yes,
true.
Sergio Perez decides to murder him. What one in Singapore? So who knows what Yuki could have done? Who knows? So after Zandvoort, obviously we're at Monza, which we got the first tease of the season, really, that someone else might win a race apart from a Red Bull. Sainz is on pole and he led, I think, about 13 laps before the inevitable happened.
I thought it was a really exciting start and end to the race. I think if you maybe knew the result going into the highlights or something like this, or fast forward to some bits, it'd be easy to forgive that was a straightforward event. But certainly at the start, it felt like inevitable that Max would get past, but it took a bit longer than I expected. And so that was a pleasant surprise. And Sainz was just driving the whole race in his mirrors. Very impressive.
Yeah, it was good to see as well that there was fighting going on all down the grid. There seemed to be no one was being held up by team orders, is what I'm getting at.
Yes, that's true. And also Monza lends itself well to sort of these packs. And I think if you had certain cars with certain setups, looking at you, Alex Albon, for high-end top speed, it negated the DRS, which meant it took a while for people to overtake, or some people couldn't. And I quite liked it. Perez said after the race, it was really difficult to overtake the Ferraris because the DRS effect wasn't so strong. And I'm thinking, I wonder, what if DRS wasn't as strong?
Yes.
Because it took him a while to get past Sainz and Leclerc at the end.
And it took forever to overtake every car because he backed out of almost every move he tried to go for.
Well, there is that.
Yeah, the downfall is Checo Perez continued, unfortunately, in this weekend as well.
It wasn't great all round.
No. Well, is there any more of you guys those 2 races that we missed?
No, just Monza was entertaining and the inevitable happened, but it still, it wasn't as clear cut as it people perhaps thought it was. That entertaining for me.
Just on a personal thing, it was great to see the Ferraris battle into the end as well for that final spot.
Oh, wasn't it hairy at times?
Yeah. But yeah, it was just about respectful. So
one of them wasn't so much.
yeah.
Leclerc had it at one point and ran wide on his own. Going into the opening chicane, he had made the move at last, but just ran wide and Sainz got the cutback, and there was no gap, there was no air between the cars, I'm sure of it at one point. Yeah, but if there was team orders at that point, it would have been much, a lot duller.
Yeah, exactly.
On to Singapore then. Always a slightly strange track. When Mercedes were dominating, there was a few years where they were nowhere. Remember, was it
That's right.
The subway was getting blamed one year for interfering with their electronics and everything. So
yeah,
slightly bizarre track. And Red Bull expected this to be the weakest circuit of the year, and it proved that way. Qualifying got off with a bang with Lance Stroll binning it on his final run at the final corner. Got over the curb on exit and lost control and smashed up his car and missed in the race as well.
Yeah, because that was medical reasons, I believe, rather than the car wouldn't be ready.
Yes. It didn't feel too great. I don't think there was anything specific.
Oh no, he just said he woke up and just didn't feel good. And I think that's good that he didn't race. Because too many people would just be jump in the car and see what happens, but then you're endangering other people if you're not quite right.
Mike Crack came out. Mike Crack came out today, I think it was. Or it probably was on the weekend, but it's been published today of how that crash shows how committed Stroll is. He's right up there. Not sure about
that.
Yeah, he's not had a good season.
No, but that move or that incident cost Oscar Piastri. He was out in Q1.
Yeah.
We then get Max Verstappen blocking everyone that can in Q2 and which
is allowed apparently.
Gets 2 reprimands, no good penalties somehow. Blocked Tsunoda, parked in the pit lane. Yeah.
The pit lane one was €5,000.
Yeah. It was the Tsunoda one for me. That was a very clear block. And, was it AlphaTauri didn't get called up to the stewards?
Yes.
Oh, they did. They just didn't go.
No, they weren't invited to the stewards.
Oh, they weren't? Oh, I thought they just elected not to.
No, but even if they didn't go, which they didn't, the stewards still have the information and they decided on a reprimand rather than anything else, which I don't agree with personally, but never mind.
It sets a precedent for the rest of the season. So we're going to have to be paying attention to this, because if anything else happens, we'll go, apparently it's just a reprimand.
Yep.
Well, both Checo Perez and Max Verstappen missed out in Q2. Both Red Bulls out. Liam Lawson nicked through and knocked out the reigning world champion, which is probably he's probably getting a bollocking off of Helmut Marko right now.
Someone fire up the quote generator. Where's Helmut?
I don't think.
What's he going to say this time?
I don't think he's allowed out in public anymore.
Probably
not for a while.
No. Did you know he's not a Red Bull employee? That's amazing. That.
Yes, I saw that. Yes,
is he not? Is he just a freelancer then, or something?
He's not an employee. He's just a director.
Oh, right.
But you can be a director without being employed. He's an advisor to Red Bull, the company, not the racing team. Some rubbish like that.
Some loophole.
Yeah.
Because he's getting paid, right?
Oh, it must be. It must be, yeah.
Yeah.
He gets his passes approved. The accreditation process for Formula 1 must be quite strict. So they must think he's an employee.
And the FIA gave him, I think it was a warning. I can't remember what the official terminology was, but I think it was like a warning, a reminder of his responsibilities after his Checo Perez is lazy and unconcentrated because he's South American comment, which he's not lazy. He's not South American. slightly
He's
incompetent.
not South American.
But yes, so he's
had a spin in qualifying.
He did.
Yeah.
The Red Bull was terrible.
I know, it's fun to watch though. It looked really leery around every corner.
Max was complaining in practice, wasn't he, about downshifts and upshifts. I never really understand quite what he means with. Is it that they're not smooth enough? Is it because they're locking the brakes and the braking? Not
yeah.
Sure. But unacceptable was the word.
Yeah, it always is with him though, isn't it?
They're simply lovely, or unacceptable.
And then Q3, Carlos Sainz took pole from Russell Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, 2 Hasses in the top 10 again.
Big surprise.
And yeah, William Lawson in P10, very impressive.
Even bigger surprise.
Yeah.
Sainz was on form from, I think Leclerc was fastest in one of the practice sessions, and Sainz was quicker in the other 2, and he just carried that on into qualifying. Superb. But it was extraordinarily close between the top 3.
It was. Yeah, I think Russell really pulled one out the bag.
Hamilton didn't.
No.
But there's a gnat's whisker between the top 3 there.
I'll be interested to see how Piastri gets on next race though as well, because he only had half the upgrades that Lando did.
Oh right, and a Stroll to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. So he was sort of out of position.
Very much so.
Pre-race, Martin Brundle dinghy dogs Piastri in an absolutely horrendous interview moment. He saw Esteban Ocon, and it was Ocon's birthday, so he wanted to wish him happy birthday.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I've only seen the out of context clip.
Yes, I mean, it was just that he was wanted to wish him happy birthday as he went past, and then was going to carry on talking to Piastri, but Piastri was just like, no, I'm out of it.
Yes, he did.
But even so, he was in the middle of answering the question when he just started shouting at Esteban.
He did apologise on Twitter to Martin, so. Or X.
Right.
Apologies, Elon.
Yes, I was going to correct you there, and I thought I won't be a pedant. You did it to yourself.
It's Twitter.
The thing is,
yes.
If you type in x.com, it takes you to twitter.com. So he's clearly not completed all his rebranding exercises. As
normally,
Space
when you
Karen.
rebrand something, you do that before you launch.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yep. Anyway.
Okay, on to the race, and it's Carlos Sainz from pole. He keeps the lead, and Charles Leclerc starts on the soft tires when everyone else is on the medium. Finds only the 2 Red Bulls, and it is just the 2 Red Bulls on the hards, I think, at the start. I think
Bottas might be.
Yeah, yep. And Joe's a softs, but he pits on lap 1 to get onto the hards, which was strange.
Didn't realise that. And Leclerc was on soft for the first stint, wasn't he?
Yes. So Leclerc gets a better start than Russell. He gets himself up second. Hamilton gets a great launch and gets around the outside of Lando Norris. He then tries to go around the outside of Russell, but there's no space, so he goes off the runoff and keeps both positions. It takes a while, but he gives the positions back to Russell, and then gives the place to Lando Norris, which I don't agree with, but I'll let you guys chime in here. Should he have let Norris go?
Well, apparently he was advised that it would be in his best interest to, rather than him making that decision. But I don't know. I can see it both ways. He was past Lando, but as Lando says, if he knows he has no intention of trying to take the corner, he can always brake later. But
I get that. But my view of it is this. Well, first of all, I was a bit annoyed he didn't give it back to Russell immediately. So I think that cost the team time, because Russell could have been on the back of the Ferraris. But he said he had to wait for 3 laps in the dirty air and all this. Or however long it was. Sorry if that number is not precise. I just felt like they robbed Russell of some speed there. But Norris's point is correct if Lewis just went straight on at the corner, but he didn't. He did turn in. He did make the majority of the corner, and he only goes off the runoff once there's clearly no space after the apex.
Yeah.
I know he's on the outside line, so he doesn't technically clip the traditional apex, but it's not like he's missed the corner. That sounds like very difficult to describe because
No,
he does
but
go off.
in speed terms,
after the corner,
would stay on track. The only reason he goes off track is there's no space because Russell doesn't leave him room.
Yeah.
So I thought him, by rights, he made the corner. He just bailed on an additional overtake.
Yeah. So for me, it's annoying that he didn't give it back quicker. I don't think there was a debate there to Russell, but I don't think he had to give it back to the Norris. I understand Norris is in the heat at the moment and he didn't have replays like we do. And he's also bargaining to the stewards as well. It's all part of the play and the strategy, isn't it? But I think Mercedes folded to the McLaren viewpoint there, unless the stewards have gone, oh, well, we're going to do something, heads up. I don't know the full context. I think he would have been fine in fourth.
Yeah, I do think the team were told by the race director that it would be referred to the stewards if they didn't give it back. It doesn't necessarily mean the stewards would tell them to give it back.
9 times out of 10, it does mean that, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I do agree with both of you, but at the same time, if you go around the outside on that corner on the first lap, you're always pushed off wide.
Yes, that's true.
So, is he being crafty and just
probably
doing like an Alonso type thing where it's just, I could have made the corner, but then going off, but
Alonso at Russia.
Exactly.
I definitely think there's an element of that for Russell, but I think he's several car lengths ahead of Norris and completely side by side with Russell at that point. It's not like he's ahead of Norris way before the entry to the corner. At the turning point, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, I see what you're saying, Nick. I just think it would have been fine. Anyway, there's more of this shenanigans later on.
Yeah.
We've got a Ferrari 1-2 then, the first portion of the race. They're controlling the pace at the front to keep the pack bunched up together. So they don't want to give the Red Bulls a chance later on in the race, I think, is what they were saying. They didn't want to give them a gap to put into, which was very smart. And
it's very clever, but it does make it a tad boring to watch.
Yes. I'm glad I didn't watch this portion live. I watched it on delay, so I fast forwarded through chunks of nothingness. Though, because there wasn't many overtakes.
Yes, there's about an hour of that.
Yes. Logan Sargent, I don't think we're going to see him next year, if I'm totally honest. He bins it at turn 8, loses his front wing, drags it all around the track, and the amount of debris on circuit brings out the safety car.
I thought it was very strange because I just felt like the call was too late. And I'm not in that room. I don't know the person. It felt like to me that the entire field had already gone past all the sections of broken bits before the safety car was called. Could be wrong there. I have to go back and watch.
So safety car, Sainz pits and keeps the lead. Charles Leclerc tries to hold up the pack and ends up screwing himself out of second. By the time he gets in the pits, he gets stuck behind Lewis Hamilton because the Mercedes are double stacking, and Lando Norris gets ahead of him. George Russell gets ahead of him, doesn't he? I don't know if Lando does.
And yeah, Norris did as well. Yeah.
They both did.
Does Lando as well? Yeah, fair enough. And so Red Bulls don't pit; they stay out, and that's a race screwed essentially for that safety car. So,
well, if they'd have got another safety car, wouldn't it be not so bad?
Yeah, that's what they were essentially gambling. Well, I say gambling. They'd already committed to the hard tyre at the beginning, so they were kind of stuck with it. But
because then they could have fitted for some fresh rubber, and other people might have. There was a VSC later on, but I just think it fell. Yeah, they were trying to plan it for a different scenario later on. Weren't
they? Yeah, because without any form of safety car after this, they would have had to have pitted again, which they didn't want to do. Because they've already used the hards, and the mediums probably wouldn't have lasted to the end at that point.
Yes. It did lead to some entertaining scenes of Verstappen and Perez trying to defend, even though it was futile.
Yes.
Which could have ended in some significant accidents, but didn't.
Yes. Did we miss Perez taking out Yuki on turn 1? In lap 1?
Oh, yeah,
we kind of mentioned it early on, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
But yeah,
that move's not on. he rams into the side of him, leaves a massive hole in the side pod, and Yuki retires on lap 1.
Yeah, that was not even just ambitious. That was just rubbish.
Desperate.
Yeah.
Very desperate. So the two Red Bulls are second and fourth at the restart, but they're just going to go backwards at this point. And Norris tries to get Perez at turn 7, but can't make it go. He tries to go for the switchback, and Charles Leclerc gets surprised by this, runs off track, and Lewis Hamilton gets past at that point.
Wasn't impressed by Charles in that move.
No.
Lack of foresight. Not that I could do it, just to be clear. It just felt obvious to me that the shape that's been lined up is a cutback.
Yes. I mean, I'm not sure if he was surprised by it or what, but yeah, it's clearly affected his braking.
Yeah, he's made a mistake then. I thought, he might have the inside for turn 8, but Hamilton was ahead before the braking zone.
Mm-hmm.
Job done.
Yeah, he was lucky not to lose to, I think it was Alonso as well.
Very much so.
George Russell gets past Verstappen at the penultimate corner. Lando Norris goes for a move on Sergio Perez, makes a move. Lewis tries to buy into that one as well.
Ooh, I thought that was going to be contact, but the overpass came at the wrong time for the shot. We couldn't see the end of it because it was at the road going over the top of that corner.
Lewis Hamilton 5 years ago would have stayed there. But sensible 7-time, 8-time world champion Lewis Hamilton doesn't take those risks anymore. Which end up paying for him, because I think if he had went alongside Perez, he'd have been in the wall.
I think so.
Yeah, Perez was not giving that spot up, despite the fact that he was clearly going to lose it in another couple of corners.
The desperation, I've said it already, but the desperation he was driving with this race as well. Best avoided. We'll touch upon it later on, I think.
Hamilton then does get Perez at the outside of turn 7, but he runs wide on the exit, and I was just waiting for the penalty to come. And it didn't.
That was one of those, was he ahead enough that it doesn't matter?
Yeah, weird.
I'd
like to know the thinking behind not a penalty there.
Yeah,
or at least we didn't even see a replay, did we, or an onboard angle of that particular incident?
No. He made the move stick. Sorry, Tom.
No. After you. I think we're going to agree.
Oh, yeah. He had made the move stick, but he then ran wide, so it's still part of the move to me.
Yeah. It's like he was ahead regardless. He didn't need to run off, but he kind of did.
Yeah.
It was important for Lewis to make that move then, so it was one of those. I thought I should probably give that back, but then I think Leclerc got past Perez pretty quickly, and then so there was no chance to redress it on track. But
it should have maybe been a 5-second penalty in that case.
I thought so, but stewards decide to let Mercedes away with something for once. Doesn't often happen. What else happened? Alonso is nowhere. I think he has problems with his car from the start. There's some pictures online of some damaged suspension arms, but I don't know whether that is actually what's causing his problem.
There was a theory that he might have hit some of the debris from Sargent at some point.
Possibly.
And then he did run wide coming in the pit lane, didn't he, as well? Which gave him a penalty. Which had to take during one of the VSCs later on. And then I don't know if you saw that the stop was extremely slow, and then they dropped the car before the wheels were on.
Yes.
That might have also damaged the suspension, especially the right rear. It went on really lopsided and was sort of jammed on there. And they had to sort of force it back on again because for whatever reason the car fell to the ground with no wheels on it.
Well, Brundle made the point during the race that he said he couldn't tell if it was the camera angle or not, but he thought Alonso's steering was right hand down.
Right.
But it wasn't dead straight, but he said only slightly, but that's going to make that hard to drive.
I don't know what point in the race that was. That might have been if that was after the pit stop.
That was later in the race.
Yeah, if it was after that stop, that might explain things. But certainly that's why he's fallen back initially. This bungled pit stop, which led on from him getting a penalty for running over the Bottas curb. I think Bottas did it in qualifying practice. But
yeah, sorry.
Just quickly,
what you meant.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Aston Martin, apart from Zandvoort, which touched upon where Alonso got a marvellous second in the changeable conditions, they haven't really been anywhere of late at all anyway.
No.
It's a dramatic fall from grace, which shows that the pace of development from some other teams is significantly better still.
Yeah, they did bring a reasonably big upgrade. I think it was to Hungary. I'm not entirely sure, but it just didn't seem to do anything, whereas everyone else's upgrades have worked.
And worryingly for them, they seem to be slipping further down the point standings, and other people are close. Like you have to think Ferrari and McLaren, Mercedes are all circling around. And for the first half of the season, you thought, oh, they'll be locked on for second place. I think Alonso might still be. I think Alonso, did he just lose third place in the drivers' points as well this race?
Yes, I think Hamilton's now third.
Yes. So I'd be worried, but also not worried if I'm in the team and if they might know more than me about their 2024 car.
Yeah, they'll have a
pulling
chance
all
over the
resources
winter to trace Red Bull's car for this year again.
Very true.
So they'll be fine. Alonso was in a good fight with Perez and Ocon. Alonso's trying to get past Perez, but it makes a mess of his exit turn 7. Ends up in a freeway fight, and Ocon gets both of them.
That was great from to watch.
Yeah, and a bit lousy from Alonso, really. But they both gave each other space. That was impressive. And it was a very tight section of the track as well, which is normally not known for side-by-side action.
Exactly, and it was good as well because it was one of those where you're like, I don't know who's going to come out on top here and who's going to be in the wall.
No, they're all sort of fumbling around, weren't they? And I just thought, oh dear.
But no one crashed at that point, so it was good to watch.
I do think the track change, he's removing the bit where he used to go into the grandstand this year. I do think it's made it a bit easier to race. I think it just keeps the cars closer together going to the last sector.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I prefer it, but it technically is temporary.
Yes, it's a temporary thing, isn't it? Because the building works nearby. I would have preferred it if turn 16, which is the bit that's still from the old track, where you'd normally come out of the tunnel and go to it. Yeah. Maybe they could keep this layout, but reprofile that a little bit, because I don't think it's quite wide enough or sharp enough to make it a clear overtaking opportunity. But I love the fact that you can make someone to bend into 14, the 90-degree right, and then have like a cutback down that kink.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Well, the drivers lobbied for it to be a DRS zone along that straight, and it was rejected by 4 teams.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. The FIA was willing to do it, but they needed unanimous approval from the teams.
I think what's called turn 15, or the left-hand kink, is kind of sharp, and then is the rest long enough for DRS? But it kind of worked without DRS, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Ocon's fairly decent race is over. He has to pull over at the pit exit with a gearbox issue, which is a VSC at that point.
Yep.
Both Mercedes roll the dice and pit for mediums.
Now, sorry to interrupt, but this was a ploy that they had that in the back pocket all the time over other teams, didn't they? Because didn't they do a different qualifying strategy just to save this extra set of mediums?
They did. So all the other teams would have had to use either fresh softs or fresh hards.
Right. So they had the preferred tyre on standby, and that was perfectly played, I would say.
It was. Russell was right up the backside of Carlos Sainz all through that middle stint, but just couldn't pass him. And I think Sainz was just controlling the gap constantly. Fairly comfortable.
Another race like Monza, where he's fighting a rear guard the whole race, basically.
But he seemed comfortable, and he didn't make any mistake.
Well, that's the key thing.
Carlos Sainz normally does. Even at Monza, he locked up, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, he did seem completely in control during this race. And you never felt that he was being outpaced by George. It's just that he was running his own race. is what I always felt with Carlos.
There was all these team radios going on about, make the gap smaller, make the gap bigger. Yes, it shows an aptitude that I just can't comprehend, to be able to drive quickly and cleanly and work out the strategy and play games, as we'll touch upon later on, about keeping Norris in DRS and all this. Yeah. Mighty.
While that's going on, Max is pitted for mediums and he's making some moves back through the pack, getting past Hulkenberg, Joe. Got past Lawson for 8th, which Lawson had a little go at him for it. And I think eventually got Gasly for 6th, which later became 5 when George Russell did a George Russell.
I nearly got Leclerc at the end.
He was
I was very surprised. Very surprised by that.
Right up his back bumper.
And I thought, I know that he's on fresher tyres than most, but it shows that there's still some latent pace in that Red Bull.
They'll be back dominant in Suzuka next week.
Oh, they could still win every race this year. Suzuka should be right up their street, I reckon. Oh,
yeah, definitely. So the Mercedes catch up with Leclerc. It doesn't really take them too long. They've got about 10 laps to then try and get past Leclerc and then go for the win. Russell gets undercut at turn 14 to take 3rd, and Leclerc goes his 4th, I think, at that point, to Lewis the following lap. Albon is off. Was this where Perez hit him?
Yes.
Yes, I believe so. We didn't know that at the time.
So, have either of you seen it?
Yes.
Yes.
So Perez does an F1 game lunge into the hairpin after the Anderson Bridge, which is never, ever, ever, ever on. And he completely clatters into the side of Alex Albon.
Because I was watching the race, they didn't show it, did they? In the main race?
No.
And
not that I saw, no.
No. And the leaderboard, Albon was in the points, I think, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was fighting Lawson.
All of a sudden, he went down from 10th to 14th, and I was like, and then they talked about it. But I noticed Perez was shuffling. Some of the Hasses were going crazy up and down positions, and Lawson and Perez. And apparently, Perez hit Lawson as well on the final lap, did he? I've not seen this either.
I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that.
It's in Alex Albon post-race radio message. He says, "Oh, what a joke!" And he did it to Lawson as well. And I don't know if he got past Lawson in the final lap or the penultimate lap. And somehow Magnussen worked his way through. So I'd love to see. I hope as we record, it's not there, but I hope in the best of onboards on the F1 YouTube channel that they show the final couple of laps from that battle pack for 10th. I've only seen a quick clip of the Perez incident on YouTube by an unknown uploader, but I'd like to see the full context. I mean, sure, for those outside UK, you've probably got F1 TV and you've seen it all.
Yeah, I mean, he totally dives down the inside, doesn't he? And as Colin said, it's very F1 game-like. It's just straight into the side and then carry on. And it's almost as if he used the car of Albon to make the corner.
Very fortunate that Albon's car is not destroyed. Or Perez hits the barrier on the left, I think, as well, on the inside, doesn't he? Or he's squeezed up against it. He could have ripped a wheel off there.
Yeah, considering he'd hit a few cars already at that point.
I know. It's built like a tank. Reminds me of the old Honda Integra in British touring cars. Moving on.
Alonso also has a moment. He goes straight on it, one of the corners, and drops out at the point. And absolutely disastrous day for him. And then we get the fight for what you would think would be the win. You've got Sainz, Norris, Russell, and Hamilton, the top 4, and they're all separated by just a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz is driving at a pace which gives Norris DRS, so neither Mercedes can properly attack him. I think Lewis is saying he's got more pace, he wants to have a go himself, but Mercedes don't flip the cars. It ends up staying as is until the final lap, where George Russell makes a mistake at, I think, turn 12?
I think it's 10.
Yeah, 10.
I think.
It's the
old Singapore sling.
Yes.
Yes.
He He loses concentration. Norris in front skims the wall with his right-hand wheel, and George Russell just drives into it, smashes his right-hand side, and ends up into the wall, which hands Lewis Hamilton third. And
bit of a shame that, George.
It was
not ideal. Did he crack under pressure, or was he just caught off guard by the Norris clipping it in front of him? Either way, the right rear wheel is a hefty hit against that wall.
Yeah.
Bam.
I didn't see it at first. I assumed he hit the wall and that made him go straight in. And my first thought was, if he's just damaged the front wing, reverse and carry on.
I was thinking the same
you'll
thing.
Get some points, but I'm pretty sure he destroyed the rear suspension on him.
I think that's probably true.
I was when I was watching it live on TV. I saw him hit the wall, and it was one of those instant. Oh, George! Like you saw the puff as it went on board with Norris. You saw him touch the wall, and they go straight. And you're like, oh no, what have you done? The bad thing is, from my perspective, is I wasn't surprised when he done it.
Yeah,
I almost half expected Russell to do something like that, as he was so desperate to win. Because he's done it.
Yes.
He's done it several times before.
Both.
He's a talent, but he's still got a few rough edges.
Yeah. There's I don't know if it's concentration or what. He's done it in the Williams.
I'd put it down as.
And he's done it a few times in the Mercedes. So yeah, it's just a momentary lapse, but it's an expensive one.
Yeah.
Bit of a shame, I thought. It was a thrilling final few laps. If you just think about it, there's 3 different teams, all within a second, fighting for the win. And that's probably what's happened for 5th and 6th several times this year, right? But because it's not for the lead, you don't really care that much. But when it is for the lead, you're just like, oh, F1 can be magical. Yeah.
That was a very enjoyable
Nothing against
end.
Verstappen. Yeah, just to be clear. Sorry, Colin. Just to be clear, yeah. Nothing against Verstappen winning. We're just against anyone dominating. That makes
sense. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
No, in this particular season, yeah. Just like to see a bit of variation. I know it might sound harsh, but I'm pleased that we now cannot get a Red Bull unbeaten season.
Same.
Agree. I don't know what happened to Valtteri Bottas, but he didn't finish the race either.
Mechanical thing told to switch it off.
Yeah.
But he was on the weird strategy with the Red Bulls, wasn't he? But it didn't work out.
Yeah. The Perez incident, he did get a penalty for that, which was
weird.
He got a 5-second penalty at the end when he was 14 odd seconds ahead of the car behind him.
Daft.
11 seconds, I think it was.
Not sure I agree with that.
No.
But that might be how the rules are written, so all right. But that penalty achieves nothing. So
no, exactly.
Yeah, brilliant.
I'd prefer they give a grid penalty for the next race rather than that.
I would in that scenario.
So the Drivers' Championship, Hamilton's taken third. He's 10 points ahead of Alonso. Sainz is kind of catching up as well. He's on 142, Hamilton's on 180. I think what is kind of stat-on result is that Lando Norris is now only 12 points behind George Russell.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
And you think how bad that McLaren was at the start of the year. And
they definitely get the gong for most improved.
Yes. And then you think how many problems George Russell's had and slight inconsistencies as well. I mean, there was a streak there where Hamilton was just battering him. That Hiko needs to find something going to the final few races of the season. And he was super quick again this weekend. Just brilliant weekend, and then doesn't get anything for it.
Ferrari's only 20 odd points behind Mercedes in constructors.
Yeah, apart from the top position, that's all wide open, isn't it?
Yeah. I saw Kevin Magnussen thrilled with P10, which is a bit of a shame, really. It's quite sad. But that puts them 2 points clear Alfa Romeo now. That is vital. Because scoring in the top 10 with either one of those cars is quite the challenge.
Yeah.
AlphaTauri got a point, which couple of points, which might save them from finishing last. As
Well, all they need is one crazy result in the rain in the last remaining races, and they could be 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Logan Sargent's the only driver still without a point.
Oh, are you sure about that?
Excluding De Vries and Ricciardo. I'm not counting them.
Yeah.
It's the only full-time driver without a point, and Liam Lawson's now ahead of him as well.
Didn't we count Hulkenberg last year? Was it year before? I can't remember now. When he was on 0 all year.
Yeah,
Moving on.
True. But I, as I mentioned there, I don't think we'll see Sargent next year. And
we're going to see Zhou, though.
We are.
Yes, we are.
Which I was slightly surprised about. Because he's not exactly set the world alight this year either.
So that's Bottas and Zhou locked in again for mediocrity next season?
Yes, in the Sauber team.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, joy.
Both Mercedes have signed an extension as well.
Yep.
Where we're off. There's some online chatter that Tsunoda's going to be out of AlphaTauri next year. So
yeah,
he might end up in a Williams, apparently.
But who would be in the, what is it? Allegedly Hugo Boss or whatever it might be.
Lawson and Ricciardo is the rumours.
Perez still at Red Bull then?
Yeah.
As long as Red Bull are as quick as they are, Perez is here for life.
Yeah.
He is no threat whatsoever. That's exactly what they want.
It's just fine with Red Bull dominating again, but if you think back to the Hamilton-Rosberg years, it was still pretty good. Maybe I'm looking back at rose-tinted glasses, but at least there was a chance someone else might win a race. But at the minute, I covered it. Old ground, I know. Stick Lawson in there. Come on, be brave. Mind you, the way Red Bull works, they'll probably ruin his confidence and be ditched within half a season.
I just laugh every time I look at Aston Martin. 170 points for Alonso. 47 for Lance. Dear.
Did you see the meme? I don't know where the shot was from, but it's like they've written the names, so it's Alonso F, Stroll L, and then after their names it's AST for Aston. So it reads Alonso fast, Stroll last.
Oh dear.
And that is accurate from the last couple of races.
Well, yes, recently that unfortunately is true.
Yes.
I do feel sorry for Stroll though, because he has got pace. He just, he's just not got enough of it.
No.
Not regularly either.
No, and he has been in the wars this year. His pre-season crashes. His mid-season crashes. His latter half of the season crashes. Yes. I can see why he missed the race. He's probably pretty battered and bruised. I'm looking forward
I did wonder
to
that as well, actually.
Monaco was his
re-damaged that hand.
Yeah, he might have re-damaged that hand, and it might be like a secret thing. And they don't have Hulkenberg to rely on now. Oh, so it'll be Drugovich.
It would in theory. I did see comments saying that why wasn't Drugovich in when Stroll couldn't race, but yeah, they're not allowed to put someone in unless they've competed in quali at least, because I think you can go into quali without any practice.
Oh right, okay.
Not ideal, because I'm sure Di Resta did that.
Oh, he went straight into the race like half an hour. He was supposed to be on TV, and then he got called like half an hour before the race started, or the qualifying started. Yeah,
qualifying. Yeah, because didn't Raikkonen get in the way of Raikkonen or something? He was like, "Get back to TV."
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think you can go straight into quali, but you can't go straight into a race.
I completely forgotten Di Resta had done a race post Force Indy. And by the final point on the new track layout for me was, I do prefer it, but the bridge used to always catch out Adrian Sutil, and I kind of miss that.
Yes, what was it? They said a quarter of the safety cars in the history of the Singapore Grand Prix were in those four corners that have been taken away.
Yes, interesting.
The Singapore slang was horrendous.
Oh, that was awful, but kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Completely unsustainable. I understand why it's not there. I'm not petitioning it for it to come back, unlike Dingle-Dale at Brands Hatch. But
yes, I'd love that back.
There was like madness that was ever approved.
I know. Here's 3 ramps that point towards a wall. Off we go.
Yeah. I remember the excuse as well was that they had to have that there because there was a curb on the outside, like a pavement curb. And I'm like, you're spending like 40 million to build an F1 track, sand down the curb and relay it the week after the race. Like, it's not an immovable object. Like, come on, boys. But yeah. So we're in the home straight now. There is 7 races left.
Oh, doesn't it feel like so long?
Yes.
Still.
So we've got Japan this
Vegas.
weekend. Yeah, Japan this weekend, then Qatar. We're back there. Then United States for Kota, followed by Mexico, Brazil. Then Las Vegas, the penultimate race of the season before finishing
Because that makes
in Abu
sense.
Dhabi.
Of not having the two North America, United States races back to back.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not having all 3 of them back to back as well.
Oh well, that's a good point. Yeah, Miami as well. Derp.
So we've got what 5 races in North and South America in a row. 4.
Yeah, get the terminology correct.
Yes, North and South. Before Abu Dhabi. So yeah, we're nearly there. 7 more to go, and a couple more in the touring cars.
Yep, Silverstone this weekend.
Yes. Whoop, whoop.
Yes, I'll see it when I get home next week.
Enjoy
Yes.
the roads.
I will. And yeah, I'll let you guys decide if you're doing a podcast next week.
Sweet.
Any more from this week or any of the previous races that we missed?
Just not from me, other than off to go make a pizza.
Yeah, same.
Enjoy. Right, thank you guys again for your time. Thank you everyone who download and listen. Viewership is growing, or listenership, whatever. Well done. And please share it if you can. Thank you very much. Congrats to Fernando Alonso for getting another meaningless statistic.
Yes.
Oh, what was it now?
100,000 kilometers or something.
Yes, in a race situation.
Oh, Crofty would love it.
He did.
It was Crofty that said it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Yep. He fumbled over his words as he normally does. So well done him. And yes, we'll be back with Japan. So see you then. Bye.
See you then.
Yeah.